boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. It's another Friday. So I got inspired to make this video. This is a drum machine instructional. By my last video, I inspired myself. Who could believe it? So what are we talking about today? We're talking about shuffles or swing. And I'm going to kind of use those terms interchangeably because what I'm thinking of is this rhythm. Right? That's the shuffle rhythm. If you want to be really technical, right, swing is sometimes thought of as this. But basically, we're thinking about that kind of skipped beat. They call that like that note beat that you sort of ta-ta, that second ta-ta, you know, like the skip note, ta-ta, right? Some people call that the skip note. You're just sort of like bouncing it, right? So here's what we're talking about. So as I was doing the Beatle thing last week, I started to think about the range of swing or the range of shuffles, right? And some people think of swing or shuffles like it's either a triplet or a 16th note. Stay with me. We're gonna go to the drum lab in a minute, and I'm gonna demonstrate. So let's count it out, right? We'll just do a shuffle with triplets. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1. Right, I'm playing the third triplet and then the downbeat. So, you know, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1. Okay, that's not really swing or shuffles. Some people think of it as 16th notes. You would go 1E end to 2E end to 3E end to 4E end to 1E end to 2E end to 3E end to 4E end to 1. All right. That's not really swing either or a shuffle. It has to do more with the bounce and feeling. So here's the good news. The robots don't do this so well. And why? Okay, so we all know drum machines have really taken over, but let's talk about the math of this for a second. They say, nobody told me there'd be math. Okay.
Of course. Absolute zero.
Okay. So there's a lot of interpretation in the shuffle or the swing rhythm that is okay. It is accepted. It is part of what we do. I'm going to get to the math in a second. For example, Art Blakey, one of my favorite swing, I think Art Blakey has the best shuffle, bar none. He has a very open, much more open shuffle or swing pattern. He's much closer to the triplet, right? Tony Williams, he's the 16th note and beyond. He's a very tight swing or shuffle. So let's talk about the math. And if any robots are watching, all right, unsubscribe.
I'll be back.
So if we took 1, 2, 3, and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, right? That straight eighth notes, you know, straight eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, robots or drum machines understand this because that and could be considered mathematically as 0.5. In other words, you have a hit on 1, then you have a hit on 1.5, and then 2. So 1, 1.5, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, the middle, 2, the middle, 3. So that 0.5, right? Now, here's where the robots fall apart. If we thought of swing as a triplet or shuffles as a triplet, that would be breaking the beat into 3. And if you've ever taken a calculator and you've went 1 divided by 3, you would see the answer would say 0.3333333 forever and ever and ever. So it can't really be nailed down to it is this moment, right? Because there is no this moment, right? So really, if I was going to put a decimal point on it, like the 1.5 would be your and, a triplet swing would be 1.66, sort of, maybe 1.67, maybe 1.65 or 4. All that is fair game, right? All that is fair game, because there's not a definite place to put it. Let's think about the 16th note, swing or shuffle. 1 EN to 2 EN to 3 EN to 4 EN. Now I'm breaking up that beat into 4 equal parts. That's easy, right? So now each are 25%. That means we have one, that last duh, 1 EN, 2 is 1.75. That's where it would fall. So robots like that. But a drum machine is going to do it in a way that is so kind of like, all right, this is where I'm putting it at 1.682359 every single time. And what it does is it sounds kind of stale. Whenever you hear a drum machine swinging, it just doesn't sound right. It sounds stale. So sometimes they just let the drum machine play quarter notes and the band swings around it, right, when they do that kind of thing. Okay, so when you think about Ringo and the way he shuffled, and some of those early Rockabilly guys, right, if I was going to quantify that, their swing, and this is acceptable, if we're talking about somewhere between 1.5 and 1.75, their swing probably fell in, let's say Ringo might have been 1.65. Maybe at times he was 1.6. He was so open, right? So open, so close to that 8th note, so close to that 8th note. Maybe Tony Williams is more like a 1.8 when he's swinging, right? So the thing is, you don't want to be this guy that, this is the way I play. This is my swing. This is the way I do it. All right, so it should be more about a bounce. It should be more about a bounce than a numerical value, and it should come from your, scientists say the limbic system, but more emotional, more how you're feeling it. How the music is speaking to you, it should come like that, but it should be consistent. In other words, if in the song you're putting it somewhere around 1.68, 1.69, that's where it should kind of stay. But it should kind of breathe a little bit. All right? So it's got to have a little bit of a freeness. So here is the point of this lesson. How do I get to the place where if the music is speaking to me to have a very open swing, I can do that. And if the music is speaking to me to have a very tight swing, I can do that. How do we get there? And that's what I'm going to show you today. So we're trying to make these videos shorter. Without further ado, to the drum lab. Na 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 na. My luck, because my singing voice is so beautiful. It really is. I get a copyright on that. Anyway, to the drum lab. Take it away, Vince. All right, folks. Here we are in the drum lab. The drum lab. And the question is, how do we get good? How do we master all of the permutations of swing? Very loose swing, very tight swing. How do we master that, right? How do we get there? What road do we take? So first of all, this is the mindset that it has to be. Swing is the lock with the bass player. Is he playing a little ahead? Is he playing a little behind? Right? What's my lock with him? That's part of it. So every tune's going to be a little bit different. 2, it's kind of about the bounce. It's about the bounce in your hand. And then how does this lock and the bounce feel with the music? It is not about the math. Are we going to use the math today so I can explain it to you, so I can use language to explain what I'm talking about? Yes, but it is not about the math. No math. This is about swinging. And as we said in the little preamble, right? Straight eights would be like 1.5, 2. So we're going to try to go from 0.5, 0.55, 0.6. And I'm not going to be, like accurate with that or anything like that. Let me show you how do I get there. Okay, so let's talk about something quickly, the difference between micro time and macro time. Micro time is the distance between each smaller component of the bar. The distance between your 16th notes, between your 32nd notes, between your 8th notes, right? And then macro time really, for me, the dividing line might be the quarter notes, is really the consistency of your quarter notes and the bar. In other words, if you're generally playing 2 and 4 a little bit late, like John Bonham was famous for that, but he was very consistent all across the board. Okay, that's fine. That's a groove. That's a groove, right? If your 1 is a hair late, that's fine. That's a groove, right? If it's consistent. And so in other words, if the bar you're playing takes 1.2 seconds to go through and it's consistent, that's your macro time. Okay? So what does it have to do with this? In other words, now with the bounce, I'm less concerned about me being a triplet swing or a 16th note swing or whatever. I want that bounce in my swing to feel good with the bass player, to lock with him, feel good with the music, feel good with myself. Okay? Feel good with the music, feel good with my bass player lock, right? Feel good with myself. In my hand, right? In my hand, right? So my hand can do this consistently all the way through the tune, right? And I don't have a couple of bars with a tight swing, a couple of bars with a very open swing. Okay, so how do I get there? How do I master that? I'm going to show you. We're going to set a metronome up, about 100 beats a minute, not too quick. This is not about speed, right? This is not about speed. This is an exercise for you to do. And we are going to go through from straight eighths, and I'm going to keep pushing those eighth notes without changing the tempo till I have the tightest swing that I can perform, that I can do. In other words, I'm going to go from 1.52 to 1.95 and then 2. All right, let me set up the computer. Let me show you what's going on. Be right back. Right here. Hey, you like this shirt? I don't wear it that often, but I lost some weight, and it's fitting me again. Fitting me again. Hey, it's fit me again. All right, never mind. That really. I'm like a cross between David Letterman, old David Letterman, and Regis Philbin. And I'm nuts. Okay, be right back. All right, guys, ready to go. I got my metronome set at 100 beats a minute. All right, got my headset. I'm going to listen to the metronome in here. You're going to listen to it out loud. And I'm going to start playing straight eighths. I'm going to start playing straight eighths. All right? And I'm going to just slightly push that middle eighth note over as gradually as I can. Now, one of the helps for this is you got to listen to stuff and guys that do this kind of thing, right? If you want that very open sound, you got to listen to some Dilla beats, right? Some of this comes from that. Some of this has become that over the years. Listen to early Ringo. Some of that rockabilly stuff is very much like that. Brian Setzer. I don't know. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. None of he's ever going to work with me or anything like that, but I really respect him. So you want to listen, pay attention, then listen to some good swing. Art Blakey, I said he's open, but not as open as Ringo, right? Philly Joe from in the song Milestones. That's a pretty tight swing. Tony Williams is a very tight swing. Buddy had a pretty tight swing, much closer to the 16th note than the triplet. Buddy Rich, that is. So start listening to these guys and start emulating, you know. Go take a walk, man, around your block. Get some fresh air. Put the headset on. And listen to Buddy and how he's approaching that swing. And then let it permeate your being. Okay, let's start this. We're going to take it from eighth notes, again, to as close as I can get those two notes to be, right? We're going to go 1 and 2 and I'm going to keep pushing that middle eighth till I can get it as close as I can to the next beat, okay? Here we go. Straight eighth. Alright, that's an idea. Now, a little bonus round, the next step would be to do that with your hands together. Let's do that with our hands together one more time. Here we go, right? I might actually switch over to the cymbal with this, but maybe not. I want you to hear it first with the hi-hat. Here we go. Straight eights, both hands together. This is important. Part 2 is important. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, that was about as tight as I wanted to go with the snare the way it sounds, so you can see what I'm doing. You do that on a pushing it, pushing it, pushing it, getting used to that. And that last moment was about as, much as I could go with the snare the way it sounds. Anyway, that's what you do. First one hand, then both hands, and you get good at it. Let me double time this thing a little bit and have a little fun with some New Orleans kind of feel, and see you on the next one. Let's take it out with this, 100 beats a minute, just a little bit of shuffle in my playing. 1, 2, 3, 4.